We start with Shion encountering giant monster ghost outside her room, so we go back in and save first. The partition behind us won't open, so we've no choice but to brave the Gnosis. We get into a battle where Shion automatically guards and tells us there's no point in trying to fight the Gnosis without first, quote, bringing them into our world, something she would need Cosmos to do apparently. We come across this grisly scene where Shion says our only real course of action is to avoid the enemies and reach Cosmos or Alan. She notices that partition switch we fucked with earlier, and it's our only hope against these two big boys. We rush to the other side and hit the button. We successfully escape, but up ahead we run into another Gnosis. This one with, okay, you've probably seen this thing before. Yeah, it's got a big dick. Just a big ol' honker right front and center. We obviously can't contend with such a biggie long dong, so we have to distract it somehow. And how else but with the power of girls. We hit the hologram of the Siren sisters we discovered earlier, and it distracts the Gnosis long enough for us to slip by. Up ahead, we go into the room where the couple were trying to have sex bang, but only find the dude in a chest behind some glass that we can't get through yet. Outside, well, the thing that did this to the lady comes at us, so we retreat into the fuck room.
Can't we stop it? It's no use, it's not responding!
Cosmos is starting up in auto mode.
Huh? Wait a sec! We disabled that mode after the incident. Only the Chief's terminal can enable it. Damn it! Why now? Unless it's reacting to Gnosis. Where's the Chief?
She should be heading this way, but the regular UMP channels are congested and I can't reach her.
And the emergency line?
I'm trying it now.
Oh, great. What happened?
I don't know. The power just suddenly... Huh?
Huh?
What?
We head to the engineering room where we see more big Gnosis and some debris. The debris and the Gnosis are right next to that airlock hatch we were told to leave alone, or it'd suck everything in front of it out into the cold void of space. So you know what we gotta do here. This whole section is actually a pretty neat bit of game design. If you haven't noticed, pretty much all the ways we avoid death here we learned about while exploring the Wogende in safety. That guy got fucked up. Whoa, the entrance to the hangar also got kind of fucked up. Now what you're supposed to do here is lead the little bug Gnosis things into the glowing barricade, which will zap them for a bit and let you get the chest. But you can also just walk up to the chest. It contains 2 veils, which is a consumable item that reduces the damage a character takes by, I believe, 25%. In the hangar, we find all the engineers cowering in fear and not much else, so we head back. We find one of the guards we played tag with, who tells us that there's actually a vaporizer plug-in, that thing that lets our connection gear blow shit up, in the hangar. He tells us to go get it while he holds off the Gnosis. Going back and talking to the guy who sold us stuff gives us the plug-in, and yes, you have to talk to the guard before he'll give it to you. We can now explode things in the real world with our phone, including this box blocking us from the other way up to the airlock hatch. Up there, we can blow up 2 more boxes that contain a Revival DX, a character resurrection item, and 200G. By the way, I, at the moment, don't know what G stands for, genuinely. As far as I can tell, the currency of the game is just G. Gucks, maybe. 200 gucks. Now, another thing we can blow up probably is that glass in the Cummer's Retreat, except now it has a ghost bug in it along with the chest. Oh, bad idea. Bad idea. Can't use an escape pack for some reason. You can't hurt it. Well, that's what happens if we run into enemies. And that was entirely for demonstration purposes. So, obviously we don't go back and break the sex glass. That would be stupid. Instead, we head down from the hangar. There we find our tag buddy lost pretty hard in his game with the Gnosis. We say our goodbyes and clear some debris, behind which we're ambushed through the walls. There's nowhere to run except back, but wait. You taught us well, old friend. We give the Gnosis the old do-si-do and rush past them. There we find Sergeant Swain has also had the Gnosis get the better of him. His final act is giving us the decoding key for segment address 7, which is right across from him. And he gets a pretty sad line, if I do say so myself. Damn. Inside our first segment address, we find a chest containing a robot part right arm. Not even Shion knows what to do with this thing right now, but I assure you, it has to do with robots. In the central area of this corridor, we blow up this, thing and find a biosphere inside of it. And then we head down.
Walking around like it owns the place. It's moving around randomly. Looks like it's alone. This isn't so. What the hell are you doing here?
What do you think you're doing? Those bullets could have killed me!
What are we doing?
What the hell do you think you're doing running around like an idiot? We thought you were a Gnosis!
Look, I've got my own problems to deal with. Here I am getting attacked by the Gnosis, I'm getting lost at every turn, and don't give me a hard time right now!
What the hell? Lost? You're the idiots who built this ship!
I'm not with the fleet design department. I wouldn't know a thing about ships.
We're on DEFCON 1 alert! What the hell is a civilian like you wandering around the ship for?
Well, I've got an emergency. I'm worried about Cosmos.
What the hell is Cosmos?
Ah, never mind. Deal with it later. Just get to a shelter and stay put.
Believe me, if I could, I would.
Then why don't you?
I just told you, Cosmos is...
Ah, shut up!
Hey! They're coming! Get back!
Lieutenant!
What? You think I'm deaf or something? You... What the... Hey, you! Get away from the wall! Damn it! Stand your ground!
Are you okay?
Yeah, thanks.
That's good. Shion, you need to get out of here. Just go down this corridor past Section E to the hangar. You know about the escape pods there, don't you? Well, that's where they are. Please use one and abandon ship immediately.
And you and the others?
We'll hold them off here. You've got to hurry.
I can't do that. I can't just run off by myself. We'll have to leave together.
Can't be!
Remember what we were made for.
Please!
It's all right. This is what we were born to do.
But you...
You! What do you think you're doing? Get back here and engage the enemy!
Take care.
As we flee the scene, we find the corpse of a crewman and the key to his quarters on it. Inside those quarters, we find an SMP-53AG, which is a weapon for eggs. I'm pretty sure SMP stands for Smart Missile Pod because this is a shoulder-mounted missile pod system. That's all we find in here, so we head to the next room where we find a save point. After that, we continue running into another rather lengthy cutscene, so buckle in.
Delta Sector has gone silent. Fire control net. Functionality down to 20%.
Fire control! What's going on down there? Take out the mothership!
We can't! We're too close to fire the cannons!
There's a breach in the reactor room.
Emergency core shutdown! Switch to reserves!
Eggs losses have exceeded 70%.
Our reinforcements? I'm trying!
This is a cruiser Woglinde with the 117th Marine Division. We're engaged with the Gnosis. Coordinates KX417, Y009, Z735. Requesting immediate reinforcements. Repeat, this is the cruiser.
Captain, it must be...
No question about it. They're after that thing.
Logic drive down! Fire in Section F!
Damn! Where's our first officer? What happened to Cherenkov?
LPS overload! I can't locate him!
Defensive perimeter breached! They're headed straight for the ship! Captain!
What's the status?
We've connected the main field generator and this block's sub-reactor. It'll only hold for 3 minutes, but we can move this ship under power.
Bypass connection to the logic drive secured. You can take control from this terminal.
That's fine. Good work.
Commander, I object. Purging this entire block and executing a gate jump is suicide. You know as well as I do what happens when a human body enters hyperspace unprotected.
All that matters is that we get this to the commander. We'll be at the next column area in a matter of minutes. There's no time. Get in the pod and evacuate with the others.
But Commander, the Gnosis are swarming all over the place. We won't stand a chance even if we do evacuate. We should accompany you.
Listen. The Gnosis are insignificant. They are nothing compared to what'll happen if it awakes. As soon as you launch the escape pod, inject yourself with 8 milligrams of Dig-Beta. You'll fall into a temporary near-death state, but that'll keep them from noticing you. Reinforcements from Central Command will arrive in a few hours. You must survive until then, or my death will be for nothing.
Commander!
Go now.
Damn it! Our weapons are useless! They're not like those other bastards! An FAE? No! Hornst! Lester! What do I do? I gotta stop them. There's gotta be a way. But how? Hey, you.
you doing? Give that back!
Quit your whining. I'll give it right back. Hey, they're based on the 508 series, right?
So what if they are?
It's been almost 14 years now. Since I returned from Milsha, that is. Out in the fields, I took apart so many of them to get what I was looking for. It was a lot of work, you know. What with that dual-stage protection they got and all.
Dual stage? Lieutenant, you consumed their neuro...
But of course, they were quite delicious.
How could you?
That's when I found out about the control code. It's quite a convenient function you put in there. That's right. I'm going to have these marionettes hold off the Gnosis for us. Just like this.
Stop it! What do you think they are? This is a clear violation
of their rights? That's for peacetime, lady. You think I don't know the Milshan Charter? Milshan Charter, Article 4, Paragraph 13. Weapons-grade Realians are required to be equipped with a remotely accessible behavioral limit and self-destruct system in case of emergency or malfunction. Use of these functions will be determined by the senior officer in charge of the situation. Am I right? Well, that time is now, and I am the conductor. I intend to make full use of my orchestra.
Stop it! You have no right to play God with their lives! Using them as pawns! I won't let you do this!
So what are you gonna do about it? Tell me, why haven't you disabled that function? Sure, it's factory loaded, but you of all people shouldn't have any trouble removing it. Since you care about them so much, all it would take is a little tweak, and they'd be free as birds. And yet you don't. Why not?
Because company protocol
Exactly. It's protocol. In other words, you're just like me, bound by that protocol. We're the ones that give them a reason to live. Am I wrong?
But
That's the difference between us and them. Am I wrong? So why not give it to them? A meaning to their pitiful existence! Son of a bitch! Out of the way! Move!
How do you feel?
There's no point in having a weapon that can't even get out of
It's
bed.
all right. This is what we
So
were born
why
to
not
do.
give it to
Take
them?
care.
A meaning to their...
All right?
Do you feel sad or anything? What's this girl doing here? Seen her before? Not safe there. Run. Run away. It's no use. My voice. Oh, well, I'm going to die anyway.
Cosmos helped everyone escape. They're all on the training ship. Now we need to get you out of here.
Cosmos? What? The Hilbert effect!
Xion,
Yes?
we will now proceed to Hangar 1.
Huh?
There is a 99.998% probability that the Gnosis target is the object stored in that hangar. My assigned duties are to verify and preserve the integrity of that object, and to protect the Vector staff members.
But
Life pods are located on the second level of the hangar. Please use one to escape.
Cosmos.
Chief!
I've come this far, I can't lose now.
Man, Cosmos' introduction is so badass. This amalgamation of Gnosis and eggs is called a Cyclops. For this fight, Cosmos is obviously going to be our heavy hitter, but Virgil is actually no slouch here now that he can actually hurt the Gnosis. He doesn't have access to tech attacks, those being the third hit and combos, but he's able to do fairly consistent ranged physical damage with his rifle shot. Xion doesn't hit that hard, but can be used to heal the party at least. The Cyclops' main attack of just shooting oozy bullets isn't that dangerous, though he can use Acid Hand. which in addition to walloping its target, will also lower their physical defense. Luckily, this doesn't happen here, but if it decides to hook a Xion with this and its basic attacks, it could be trouble. The only other mechanic here is when you hit the Cyclops with ether attacks, you'll get a message saying it's reacting to the ether. This is not a good reaction for us, as hitting it with enough ether attacks will cause it to immediately boost and do spread shot, dealing decent damage to the whole party. I intentionally trigger it here to show it, and yeah, that's for real this time. Just don't do that, and you're pretty much good for this fight. Just hit it with physical attacks and it'll go down eventually. Afterwards, Alan gives Xion an eggs capsule containing the same model we used in the simulations, meaning we now have access to it in battle. Alan also expresses concern for Xion with all that's going on, but she's barely paying attention to him. The boy has been cooked. We find two destructible never mind, I guess we get into a battle. Our limiters are now off, and we're free to actually engage the Gnosis using a party of Xion, Cosmos, and Virgil. These smaller Gnosis are called Manticores. They have a very powerful AoE attack at their disposal, but also incredibly low health, making them not all that dangerous on their own. Cosmos can blow through one with just a single combo. Anyway, those two destructible objects contain an ether pack and a medkit. Up ahead, our attention is drawn to a flashing button, but first we deal with these flying Gnosis that appear to be feeding off a downed eggs. These are gremlins and they're a sight harder than the Manticores. The reason is, like the Cyclops, they counterattack when hit with ether, except they use acid rain, which in addition to doing heavy damage to us, it also heals them. Xion is on heal duty for them as the gremlins fly and her only physical attacks are melee. Thankfully, Virgil's rifle is good enough to take them out, and Cosmos can usually do enough damage in a turn to kill them. Now, we actually have to go south to continue the story, but opening the partition allows us to go back and explore more of the ship now that we can actually defend ourselves. Up ahead, we run into two Gnosis we first saw. Blowing up the central hologram thing, we get a biosphere before teaching them a lesson. These are goblins, and they're very much the generic beaters of the Gnosis portfolio here. They've got more health than the others we've come across, and they just attack by swinging their arms. We take care of a few of them as we move through the ship, picking up some revives near the elevator. Also, we can't use the elevator because, I mean, you saw what happened. Those people dead. Our next target is Big Dick himself, a golem. These guys are the toughest generic enemy here, with a lot of health and heavy single target damage. At first they just attack with their arms, but they'll eventually switch to battle mode where they literally just shoot out their cock at us. They come right in our goddamn face for a grip of damage. You probably noticed that all the Gnosis are named after generic fantasy or mythological creatures. For the most part, it's just a cute naming scheme, but I do like how it emphasizes how the people of this world see them as outsiders from another world or dimension. In the lounge area, we pick up a medkit S before moving on. And also an ether pack. I forgot the ether pack. Finally. Revenge. Get the fuck out of here, man. Interdimensional pansies is what you are. Get the hell out of here. Inside the chest is decoder 18, which you might remember the door it unlocks is in the partition we opened a few moments ago. Inside there, we find a lightning coat, though it's spelled coat point lightning here for some reason. This is an accessory that reduces lightning type damage by 20% and increases physical defense. Characters have an armor slot and 2 accessory slots, and this accessory will be useful later on, so we put it on Cosmos. We make our way to one of the side shafts to clear some debris and reveal a chest containing a stem. This is a consumable used to increase the physical attack of an ally during a battle. With that, we've about explored everything, so we head to the escape pods, picking up 3 revives on the way.
Damn it! Not now! Will my death be for nothing? What are you people doing here? Gnosis! So, it's functional.
Some of this? Ah! Then come and get it, you bastard!
This ship is about to capsize. Please make haste.
Wait, Cosmos. Cosmos, do you understand what you've just done?
My assigned duty is to protect Vector employees. Protection of military personnel is not part of my prime directive.
That's no excuse! You have no right to go about killing people! Why did you shoot Lieutenant Virgil? With your power, you don't have to sacrifice anyone to—
At that time, Lieutenant Virgil was in my direct line of fire. Any changes in my firing position to avoid Lieutenant Virgil while protecting you would have resulted in a 30% depreciation in my offensive capabilities. On the other hand, with the Lieutenant's death, there would only be a 0.2% drop in efficacy. I simply chose the option with the highest probability to keep you alive. Furthermore, The escape pod has a maximum capacity of 2 occupants. I believe it is obvious who gets priority.
How can you even say that? Have you no conscience?
Shion, you forget I am not human. I am merely a weapon. You, of all people, should be well aware of that fact. What is your decision? Will you board the escape pod, or will you not board the escape pod? If you wish to express remorse for his death, it is best that you survive. Otherwise, you will render his death meaningless.
Come on, Chief. Let's go.
The Minotaur is our first real boss. I don't know what makes him a Minotaur, but that's his name. He's accompanied by 2 skyfish. We immediately put Shion in her eggs because honestly with only 2 party members in the fight, she'd be a detriment otherwise. We have plenty of items to do the healing should we need it. The skyfish do mediocre single target damage, but they're annoying enough that we have to take them out first. It only takes 1 tech attack from Cosmos to knock them out of the fight. Minotaur himself has considerably more HP. His main attacks are Diffusion Beam, which hits both our party members, and Lightning Bolt, a hard-hitting single-target attack. I told you the Lightning Coat would be useful. Eventually, we get a message saying the Minotaur is gathering strength in order to fire Gravity Pulse next turn. This means that you should guard. Though you can get unlucky like I did and have him boost to gather strength at the end of a turn, only to go first on the next one. Gravity Pulse is a harder hitting version of Diffusion Beam. The eggs really carries you in this fight. Without it, you'd be spending all your time healing Shion, and all she'd be able to do is guard because of all the AoE attacks. But with the robot, we have more than enough HP and damage to make short work of this boss.
Charging! Our cannon! All systems clear. Affirmative. The target object was not the original. Affirmative. It was an emulator. Roger. Upon deploying tracking device, I will depart immediately. As originally planned, I will head for 2nd Miltia.